you see that Funky got to #1 on the leaderboard?
Funky hit #1 on the leaderboard?
21-16, dude.
Nice. Yo,
Yup.
I could be. I didn't even know that, honestly. I knew he was like third when I last checked, but yeah, that's pretty sick. Um, what's up, everybody? Episode 3. Welcome to the Temtem podcast, where we give you all the information about competitive Temtem and what to look out for the upcoming week. We do this every week. Normally, it is Spectruhh, Servo, and I, but Servo doing some family stuff, so he's not able to make it today. So it's just us scrubs while we have the god away for a while.
Sadly.
How have you been this week, man? What you been up to? What have you been testing out?
I've been good. I've been testing a lot of different stuff. Like, I feel like last meta, I kind of just like went with the flow and just, used Yalis, Pig, Vola, Kinu, and then whatever else was good against that. And that's how I just built my team. But now I've been like testing a lot of different stuff. I tested Shween. Right now I'm testing Anna here. I tested Rhino week 1. Like I'm testing a bunch of stuff, and I feel like now that I've used so many different tems, I have a really good understanding of what's good in the meta and how to build my team. Like theory crafting is coming so much easier to me now,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
I can definitely see that. Everything's always kind of confusing in the beginning. People are always testing new stuff, and a bunch of different teams are winning, but they're winning against other teams that aren't really optimized. So then people believe a specific team is good until they play against a team that is more optimized than what's actually being ran, and then they start to realize that there's a lot of leaks in their gameplay for that team, and it actually can't do well against specific teams. So then it's just like a bunch of switch ups. So I think we're starting to get a little bit more of a grasp. I think everybody is. I think everything's kind of coming down to like almost like the same 2 to 3 centralized teams right now. A lot of people have been gravitating towards that.
Yeah, I've been kind of going like the anti-meta approach to this, I guess meta or update, patch, whatever you want to call it. Just cause like I hate Cernif, I don't want to run Cernif.
I'm the same way.
Um, I don't think Naga and Seismunt are. I'm not gonna say that they're bad, but I think they're extremely hard to use. When you can get them in and they get value, they're amazing. But I feel like you have to play around them so much that it's hard to use. So yeah, I've just kind of been like going the anti-meta route, trying to use different tems, different kind of tems I normally wouldn't have used in the past to kind of just see what's working, see what's not working, and build my team from there. So I've probably gone through like 7 teams already this patch, and the one I'm using right now I really, really do like.
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me. Almost every single game I've been like switching a tem or two, which probably isn't good. I should be testing more within a team. It's just I'll literally play a team, see a leak in it, and then I'll be like, nah. And I'm trying to play without Seismunch or Naga or Cernif, so it's making a very different dynamic in what I have to run. So,
Yeah, I'm doing the exact same thing, not running any of those three.
yeah. And I'll talk about what I believe the optimal team is later on when we go through like tier lists and what other people are running as well. But yeah, so first thing we usually go over is bugs. So far, I mean, we haven't really seen any bugs that are noticeable. Have you seen anything?
The one thing that I keep encountering, I don't know if anybody else is getting this, but every time I run to the water shrine, when I'm in the cave and I get an encounter before I run to the part where you have to like rock climb up, every single time I run inside of there, I just get a black screen and I have to close my game. Like it doesn't let me in there.
Oh,
So yeah, so that could be a pretty big bug. I don't know if it's happening to anybody else, but water shrine seems to be a little weird. And it's always after I get an encounter, it just locks me out.
I haven't seen that. I know there is that one bug that we talked about a little bit last week about the way um what is it from Sizemunch when you use his Sizemunch rec, when you have the synergy, it gives you the prio, but if the tem dies, you still get the prio, but you don't get the damage boost. So it's
Mm.
creating the as soon as you click the button, if you have the synergy before any moves are made, Yo, Oxy, thanks for the raid, man. I appreciate that. I hope you had a good stream, man. Um, so yeah, that's the one thing I've been noticing is when the moves are set, it automatically goes off the prio of what it's supposed to have, whether it's 3 or 4 prio, and then even if the Tem dies, the move is still in the same order for the 3 or 4 prio. It doesn't gain the damage boost or anything like that. It just stays in the same move order. It doesn't change it up, which is a little weird, I would say. It definitely a little different.
So it doesn't get the damage, but it still gets the prio.
Yeah, I think Crystal Dust is probably the same thing too. It's just we haven't really seen it because normally Crystal Dust is always going faster.
Yeah, I mean that's super weird, right? Like, because that's such a weird situation where you would swap something in and then it dies before Wreck gets off. Like, I feel like that doesn't happen too much, but I guess when it does, it'd be kind of weird.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. Yo, shout out to Yoda, shout out to Oxy, shout out to Servo, Enjo, Killapawa. Thank you all for being out here for the podcast. I appreciate that a lot.
Hey, Killa joined in. Let's go.
Let's go. So yeah, that's definitely like one of the bugs that have been talked about the last like week or two, I'd say. It was found out more by Rishi. Rishi was noticing it a lot more because he was one of the first people to be running Size Munch. I think he was running it on like day 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So that was noticed a lot because he would still get Size Munch Wreck off even though the Tem that he brought in would die. So a little different, little weird, but yeah. Other than that, I don't really know of any competitive bugs. Movelink got fixed. There's no unnoticed bug when it dies, so it's all set on that. And then, yeah, I don't really know of any other competitive bugs that are going on. The water custodian's fixed. Yeah,
Yep. I don't think we have any bugs though. I
yeah.
think we're
Maybe
we're doing pretty well.
Some PVE bugs and stuff like that. But other than that, I think so far it's going pretty well. Crumb is doing a really good job on the game. I appreciate that a lot. But yeah, let's get into the tournament play. We only had one tournament this week. There was a lot of changes going around because so many like big events were being talked about. So it was a little bit of a confusing week, but if you stuck into the streams, you definitely got the information that was needed from either Plus, Spectruhh, Carthh, whoever it may have been. And yeah, so we only had one tournament. There's no weekly tournament for Plus. There's just the Crystal Cup, which was the $500 1 million pants on tournament that he had on Saturday. He made sure to have it early. He first had it on Friday and then had to switch it up to make it Saturday to make it earlier so that the European players could also get in and still be able to play all 6 Swiss rounds. And it's a round of 16, so all the round of 16 players could get in. There was just a lot of switches within the week, so in order to actually have the information, you just had to like stay up and be active on their Discord, and that was mainly how you got the information of the changes. He did do a miss typo for 8 p.m. Eastern Standard when it was supposed to be 8 a.m. Eastern Standard. So there were a few people that missed out on the tournament, and he definitely apologized for that. It was a mess up, and it was mistakes happen, can't really grudge over it, There's always going to be more tournaments, so if you did miss out on that, don't worry too much about it. We already have 2 other tournaments coming up as well, and I'm pretty sure Plus is going to keep doing Crystal Cups and all these other really awesome tournaments for everybody to enjoy to watch and to play, so I don't have any doubts on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh,
It was rough for the start of that tournament, dude. 5:30 a.m. for me because I was West Coast. It was
yeah,
brutal, dude. I had 1 hour of sleep going into that tournament. I was so tired.
yeah. I think. I mean, maybe he could do a time switch. He wanted to make it as EU friendly as possible, allowing also US players to be able to play. Um, I mean, maybe a little bit earlier could be better. If I remember correctly, it ended around 5 p.m. Eastern, so 2 p.m. Pacific. So it was a good like what 7-8 hour tournament.
Yeah, it was a long tournament. I mean, there was so many games. The finals was a best of 5, which is the first time we've seen that.
Yeah,
Um, best of 6 or top 16 made the cut, and then you had 6 rounds of Swiss before that too. So it was just a really long tournament. So I see why he made it so early, but yeah, it was rough for the West Coast people.
yeah. Yeah, maybe I mean he'll talk to some people, see how he can average out the time frame. If he knows how long the tournament's most likely going to be, he could maybe average out, maybe an hour or two later, or whatever he feels would be best for both time zones. So after talking about that, let's get into the finals team review. Normally we would go over like a bunch of teams, but we have a couple of graphics. We're gonna talk about the finals team review right after we talk about the stats page. Um, why can't I remember? Like it's Oiprox, right? Yeah, Oiprox is the person
Yeah.
who makes these graphics, and they are absolutely sick. So with these graphics, we get to see Gyalis number one again. Number one again. This is the analysis for the Crystal Cup on the top 16, I believe they had, instead of top 8. So whoever made bracket stages, and yeah, looking at it, we have Gaelis Kinu, and it's back. It's what everybody was running prior, and it is showing each week. It's getting stronger and stronger. Obviously, people are getting better at playing it, and a lot of teams are kind of adjusting towards it. Honestly, there's really no counter to Gyalis. Volfi is probably the closest thing you'll get for most team comps and Size Munch, but it's really hard to put any other into the team that actually always gets their attack off and does a lot of damage to Gyalis. And yeah, it's getting kind of rough. It's kind
Yeah,
of looking like it again.
the issue with Volfi into Gialis is every Gialis is spec to be able to be faster than Volfi. So Volfi is just too slow to end up surviving or even clicking Dust Vortex. Like if you lead a Volfi into a Gialis, you have to swap turn 2 or you're dead if they go for hook kick on you. There's just no way around it. Doesn't matter how much speed you have, the only thing you can do is double click Plague and hope that the other Tem that you're paired with did enough damage to Gialis to be able to maybe kill it with a Plague. But I definitely think that's why Gialis is getting a lot more usage, and probably why we're seeing Volfi fall down the ranks a little bit, just because it isn't that great of a counter to Gialis.
Yeah, I mean, Volfi still has a lot of usage. I mean, Plague being so good, and it still does have Dust Vortex for like things like Mastion that's seeing a ton of play. Um,
Hmm.
it also just, I mean, Plague is just so good. Able to have a defensive mechanism with Bush as well is pretty strong. If you can ever get it off with somehow having an Earth Tem next to you, which is pretty unlikely with how the team comps have been shaping up lately, but it makes it pretty strong for Volfi. I think a Protector buff isn't that strong on Volfi. People are kind of starting to realize that with all the weaknesses towards Volfi. Protector buff doesn't do as much on Volfi. It still dies relatively quick, even with one or two buffs on it. Um, because a lot of people are running like Volfi Kinu, but the problem with that is it's causing a lot of like, how can I explain it? I can't think of words. Pretty much your tempo on being able to push out damage isn't there. The only time people really run Volfi Kinu is when people are running like Scunch or Mooflink on their team to be able to keep that away. But it makes it to where aggressive starts usually overpower the Kinu Volfi situation. If they have Volarin, Volarin's like a really good way to deal with it, and making Volfi starts a little bit more rough. If you look at the percentage here, Volfi is ranked number 7 here, but it has a 33.3% win rate, and it's picked 64% of the time, and it's banned 7% of the time. It's unpicked almost 30%. It's 28% unpicked. So it has a very
Yeah.
weird percentage for everything. It has a high pick rate, but it doesn't have a high win rate, and then also it's unpicked a lot of the games as well. So it kind of gets weird, right?
Yeah, like Volfi has pretty good special defense, so it's good into like special attackers. But with its typing, it's really, really bad into physical stuff. With like the kind of meta that we're seeing now, because you have the Scunches, the Mooflinks, the Gialises, the Size Munches. Like you don't want your Volfi being in against any of those. And I think we're gonna be seeing the return of Scunch Move Link, just because I feel like Mental is kind of falling out of the meta, just slightly. And if you can play around Akinu, you're pretty much fine with that. And that's if they're even running 2 Mental. So usually it's going to be like Naga Kinu or something like that.
Yeah. So let's just go down the list here. Giles ranked number 1, 50% win rate. Usage is 87.5. Pick rate 76%. Ban rate 10% with an unpicked of 13, roughly 14%. I think so. It's kind of weird to look at win percentages when everybody's using the Tem, and the reason why is because if both teams pick it, the 50% win rate, regardless, right? The only time
Mhm.
the win rate changes is when one team is not using it and the other team is using it. It then if then it fluctuates the win percentage, right? So it's a little weird to look at these kind of things when the usage rate is so high, right? Like Kinu has it at 46% win rate, but it's hard to say that's, bad or good. It just means like, who knows, Kinu could have been on yellow side and got picked, or on blue side and got picked, but it was banned against yellow side. So blue side got it picked, blue side lost, and then now it drops its win rate, right? So it's a little weird to look at high usage rate Tems, but when you look at Tems like Cerny, for instance, with a usage rate of 37% and a win percentage 40%, it's a little bit more accurate, right? Because there's 15 games that are played with it that are not like it's not Cerny for Cerny. It's Cerny is being played. How well does it do? And with a 60% ban rate, 33% pick rate, and that means the rest of the 6.6% is unpicked. With 15 games, 40% is not too bad. Also, I personally think Cerny isn't being played as well as its potential can be. I think a lot of people leave it on the field forever, just assuming that somehow this Tem is just going to win the game at the end. Um, and that's just not the case, honestly. If you have anything that can drop attack, so like I was using Mashuk with Tenderness because you don't need Turbo anymore. And if you have Mashuk at the end of the game, you just click Tenderness on Cernif with Settling. It literally like you just win the game. It doesn't actually matter. You can put Drill or whatever on it, and usually what happens when Cernif is sitting there the rest of the game, it usually ends up to be a two versus one or a three versus one. So it gets really awkward. A lot of people are going Settling because sit it on the field forever. But I actually think Velocity could be the way because leaving it on the field, I think, is a negative, not a positive. I think being able to switch it in and out and use every Tem on both sides instead of I'm gonna kill your other side forever until Cernif's left. Um, I think people are using it in a not so good way. I'm typically not scared of Cernif.
Yeah, I mean, I basically built a team to be able to destroy Cernif and like stall stuff, and it's been working out decently well. If I see Velocity, I'm extremely happy. I don't care at all. So I think me and you are kind of polar opposites on that. I think settling is way better. Velocity, I just leave it alone and kill it at the end because it deals no damage.
Yeah,
So
I think both are a weird spot, right? Like like
yeah,
you can use it as a normal Tem that has Velocity. Um, but then it's just a normal Tem with Velocity, and I don't think it's as strong as something else if you wanted to use it. Or you could use it settling, and if you switch it out, you're losing damage. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm personally not a huge fan of Cernif. Every time I play against it, I'm relatively happy. Um, and yeah, I don't know. Just that's just how I feel about Cernif. I think it is really strong. I think a lot of people just aren't using it at its fullest potential, and because there's a lot of times in which I think, oh, if he would have done this instead of like this option, I think it would have been stronger. Um, but people are just so obsessed with leaving settling up for like 13 turns and being the last one alive.
yeah. I hate Cernif's playstyle in general. I don't think I'm ever gonna use that Tem. Like the hate for Cernif on my stream is real, dude. Like
Oh
I
man.
can't stand this thing. So
That's funny. So
Yeah, I'm glad that it's not performing as well.
we go for Giles and Kinu. This was the normal, everybody had it before. Its value is just really good. Its typing is really good. It's something you want on your team. I completely understand it. Volerand is still a high pick rate, with 50% win rate, 57% pick, 38% ban.
Yeah,
It's just a huge threat.
with Vola, we talked about it like maybe on episode 1 or something, right? Where we were talking about how Volerand was kind of dropping off. And every Tem that I tried over Volerand, I was like, damn, I really wish I had
I wish I
Volerand.
had Vol. Yep, exactly. And
So its typing is just too good.
its typing's too good, and I think what was happening was in the beginning I was seeing anaerobic Volerans and I was running anaerobic. I was also running the aerobic attack speed,
Yeah,
and
I was too.
nobody was running doppelganger on it at first. And then I think when that got discovered, people were like, doppelganger Voleran's really strong. Like, uh, we'll talk about that a little bit when it comes to like blue side options. We're gonna talk about pick ban on blue side later, and Voleran's like a huge issue with that. But yeah, rank 4 we have Mastion, 75% win rate. I honestly truly believe that this is correct. Like I think Mastion is extremely strong right now. Um, don't don't. If you see Mastion on a team, it's a huge threat. I think it's extremely
Yeah,
strong. I don't think anybody. I think people figured that out about a week and a half ago. People started running it. Flaming Meteorites, pretty good addition to the highest attacking Tem in the game. Well, highest damage fire type in the game. It's definitely no question there. We have Mooflank still on the ranking list. Mooflank and Skunch, rank 5 and 6. This was one of like the duo that was like started on day one pretty much. Everybody saw this duo with how much damage base jump was doing with resistance badge, with war drum, and they're just like add this together, dish out damage, win the game, like, and everybody jumped on that train real quick. Like Mooflank has 100% pick rate over 14 games. Never banned, never unpicked, and had an over 50% win rate. So like
that's impressive.
yeah, it's kind of showing if you have Mooflank on your team, it's still putting out value. You just put Mooflank on your team, you're gonna find ways. It's naturally tanky as fuck. Like it tanks typically at least 3 hits from whatever the hell is going to hit it, unless it's some hyperkinetic strike, right? Like, but it's
Yeah,
actually its HP value is really good. Its defense value is pretty strong, and its special defense is the lowest, but it can still tank a few hits of special attacks. I think that's definitely what's keeping it up. It has high damage. Resistance badge is really good. If you leave it alone, unnoticed is going to kind of screw you up and cause damage that could have been dealt with before. So I think Mooflank is still really strong. Same
yeah,
Skunch is kind of in this weird spot where it gets one shot by mentals, and people are constantly running 2 mentals. The 2 most common, everyone's seeing it, Kinu and Naga, and a lot of people are banning Naga because there's not definitive answers to it. You could say, oh well, I have Cernif and Volfi and Yukama, or not Yukama. Sorry, Cernif, Volfi and Gaialis, and even Tuvine, but there's always ways because it's normally gonna go first with no speed, especially in tournament play because you have 1 SV. It's always gonna like get an attack off first. It's always gonna get a lullaby and set up and then Psy Surge and like it's gonna be able to do something. Like I've never seen a Naga not do anything when people understand don't let it tank damage for free. So it's
yeah. Naga, no matter what, no matter how many counters you have, it is extremely difficult to play against because they can swap it out, and if it's paired with a Mastion, now their Mastion goes first. And if you have crystals on the field to try and deal with Naga, you're getting smacked by a meteor, so it just creates so many like awkward situations that you just don't want to be in.
very, very, very true. Like, um, last week people were switching Mass down for Volcrane because now it has Stone Ball to deal with like Gaialis, and they still have Embers and they have Meteorite. So people were like kind of switching that up. But then if Naga gets banned, Bastion overall just does more value than Volcranes because Volcranes die to quite a bit that's being around right now. So people are kind of stuck with Bastion. Also having weird cage plays, there are situations where there's not a lot. There's a lot of times that people think cage is good in a spot, but realistically, it's just loses you the game. Like I think everybody's seen
Yeah,
that way too often. So, yeah, I think that's just Naga. Naga, I think just always gets value when it's in play. I've never seen a Naga not get insane value, or at least a 1-for-1 trade. Like minimum 1-for-1 trade every time Naga's in play. When I've seen somebody that knows how to play it, not just like I'm gonna click Madness turn one. Hopefully I don't get crystal plumed or something. You know, like
yeah. Hopefully the two vine thinks I'm swapping, and
yeah,
the Volerend on his side doesn't go for Noctis, and I should be okay.
yeah. Normally what people do is they go Naga with a slower Tem that is pretty decent and just switches it out on turn one, and then brings it back some other time when it's just gonna get value, which is almost always just some weird way that Naga always comes in at a good time because there's just the player has good timing, right? If you have good timing and understanding when it's not going to take damage or it has good coverage against what it's fighting, then you're good. And you get the one hold off it when you switch in against good typing as well. So even if you
Mhm.
time, like even if you know Naga's going to come in and you switch like with him when you know he's coming in, unless it's Grumper, it doesn't really matter because now it has Lullaby or now it has Psy Surge, or if it wants to, it can switch out and do it again later. So it's like it just puts
Yeah,
it in. I don't know. It's rough. It's really rough.
very scary to play against for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so we already talked about Volphy a little bit. Let's go to two vine because it has a 16.7% win ratio, and it's picked about 50% of the time. Two vine is really fallen off.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
So I'm gonna kind of like skip ahead really quick just so you guys see the two vine here. Carthh last week had two vine and A tier, and this week he also has two vine and A tier. So looking at this graphic, it just thinks like, well, if it's that strong of a tem, like why does it have a 16% win rate over 13 games? And honestly, I think it's just there's just this weird thing, right? Every strong tem right now has a 3 prio move, right? Or it's fast of some sort. Tuvine isn't that case. Tuvine has high damage abilities, pretty good HP, and good defense with bad special defense. So like it normally has to get hit before it dishes out damage. And I think that's the problem that Tuvine is having right now, where I mean, there's a lot of things that tank Crystal as well that is going on. So yes, there's ways that it deals with a lot of the Tems that are running around, but also gets defended by a lot of Tems that are running around. So it's kind of in this weird spot. A lot of people aren't running Turbo anymore. So because no Turbo, one of the strongest things about Tuvine is when you get a Turbo on Tuvine, now it's super strong and bulky and hits first. With that not really running around anymore, with Kinu's running Stonewall instead, it makes it really weird for Tuvine to be able to get as much value as it should.
Yeah, and it still gets hit extremely hard by like plagues from Volphy, water cutting lilies from Cernif. Literally everything that's on this top 10 usage hits two vine extremely hard outside of Volerant.
Well, even Voler with hyperkinetic with like plus 1 or 2, it still does a pretty decent amount of
Yeah.
damage just because its special defense is so low.
So yeah, like two vine just gets like hit hard, and yeah, it can deal back a lot of damage, but it's getting smacked around by everything in the meta right now. So I think we're definitely seeing the fall of two vine just a little bit.
Yeah,
Um, Heading over to Sizemunch though, it's at a 79% win rate out of being picked. What is that? 66% of the time,
yeah.
and the other 33%.
So it's picked 2/3 of the time, banned 1/3 of the time, and with a 70% win rate, it's literally like you either ban it or I'm picking it, right? There's never an unpick for it. Um, so I mean, I see Sizemunch as a super strong pick. I still feel like the teams that are running it, they're getting a lot better at understanding how to use size munch correctly. I remember like week one, people were just like, I just want to smash shit, and then they just click it automatically. But now people are like figuring out really, really strong times to be able to use it, how to survive after using it to be able to get like a second wreck off, and yeah, it's getting pretty annoying. I'd say it like, I mean, with every single week, people are gonna get better with Tems. So the Tems that are already strong, they're not fully optimized with teams yet, especially the new Tems like Sizemunch and Naga and Wolfie and Mooflank Skunch, like all these new Tems. They're getting better over time because they're understanding how you're going to be switching in and what their win conditions are going to be and how you can just create like an entire tempo of the game to make sure that you win. Uh,
Yeah,
that
when you get Size Munch off on like the perfect situation for him, he snowballs the entire
yeah,
game.
you just lose there. There's almost no way to come
Yeah,
back ever.
because if he gets a double kill and then two Tems come in that don't really threaten him, he can dim mock, he can uppercut at +2. Like there's so much stuff that Size Munch can utilize where it really, really sucks to be on the receiving end of a super effective smash, especially with when he gets the damage boost and the prio boost. It's really hard to play around, really hard to play against. So I think Size Munch is really good when it works, but you also have the downside too, where Wolfie kind of smacks it, and a lot of other things can hurt it quite a bit, especially with nature damage and water damage too, which is why I think we're seeing more Ukamas.
Yeah, I think people are starting to understand more that like Naga and Sizemunch aren't great openers. Naga is a good opener because you switch it out and then it doesn't get banned on second ban, and you're really not in that bad of a spot when you switch it in on turn one. But Sizemunch, it's like starting with it, unless it's like a really good counter pick situation. Usually it's like people are understanding just don't start with it. People were starting with it a lot week one, and now it's kind of switching. So like I said, everybody's adapting, getting a lot better at understanding what Tems are actually used for. Like a lot of people were using Valash as like an opener, but realistically, it's just an end game counter. Literally bring everybody to 40% HP back in the last patch, and then he comes in and just spike, 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 scavenger heal, and then you win the game. So I think Sizemunch is kind of like that same thing. It's kind of creating that same role where if you can get it in good spots, no matter what, if you wreck, if you kill Wolfie first, like even though Wolfie has a low percent win rate, a lot of people are running Naga Sizemunch, so it's like you kind of need Wolfie for those AoE attacks, especially with wreck. Like it,
Hmm.
you gotta negate 50% of that damage. It feels like.
Dude, imagine if Size Munch had Scavenger.
Yeah, it would be
That would be
rough.
stupid.
That'd be so dumb. So let's take a look at these honorable mentions really quick. We have Barnshi, Yukama, and Adoraboros. With these, we have Barnshi being 100% win rate over 8 games. It was picked only 12.5%, so it's only one game it won actually. So out of those 8 games, only one time it was picked. It was unpicked 62.5 and banned 25%. So this is kind of showing that Barnshi is more of like just a counter pick, right? If there's a
Hmm.
really good spot that it can come into play, um, it's most likely going to give you a huge edge. That's kind of like what it's showing with just these stats with eight games. So it's kind of like, okay, I have this pick. I'm pretty much playing 7 versus 8 against a lot of teams, but if I'm playing, let's say, a toxic team, or if I'm playing against somebody with high amount of neutral Tems, like the Scunch Mooflank or something, I can still run Barnshi to be able to get that damage off and be first attack with how much speed I have. So
Yeah, Barnchi hits really, really hard, and uh, it just hits really hard. It's good into a lot of stuff. It's also bad into some stuff too. So it's really situational for it. But against the right teams, Barnchi can do a lot of work for sure.
absolutely, I think Yukama's in the same spot. It has a 57% win rate. Um, it's picked about half the time and banned half the time. That's kind of weird. It was never unpicked. So over 13 games, it was either banned or picked. Kind of showing I know that a lot of people that are running the double fire situations that are running around, people are banning Yukama a lot. They're banning Wolfie and Yukama quite a bit. Uh, but Yukama is way more of a threat to where they just click Yukama, try to deal with Wolfie, and then bring in fires. But yeah, I think that's where the ban percentage is coming from. And then with it not being banned, it's against teams that are not running double fire. They're running more of the Kinu, Wolfie, Cernif, Guy Alice, Naga situations, that don't really care about Yukama. They just like let them there and chill.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Need to get Adoro out of this honorable mention. He's been here every week, right?
I mean,
Every podcast that we broken down,
he
he's always the third honorable mention.
he's not like he's not performing terribly. He's just performing slightly under par, right? Because he's never had above a 50% win rate. He's always had like 45. I think he had 47 the first week, I think. And his pick percentage is high. It's literally picked or banned. It has good. It has really really strong typing. For like damage, it has inner spirit as well. So having the fighting type or melee type damage, it just makes it strong, like really strong. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't see a downside to Adoro. It's not insane, I guess you could say, because of the weaknesses, the crystal and wind.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think it's very average, very very balanced, I'd say, when it comes to stuff.
100%.
So looking at this, we have most hated. We got Kinu with just under a 50% ban rate, 48.3%.
Always Kinu.
Always Kinu, dude. Masion has the highest win rate this week with 75%. Most liked is move flank, so if you have a move flank, you literally picked it every single game. It was never banned. And Truvine with the lowest percent win rate. I'm kind of surprised that it's 16. I would think it would be. I do believe it'd be under 50. I haven't been running it a lot lately. I see how strong it is against like what's being ran, but then I play it and it just feels so underwhelming. So I understand that it's probably under 50%. I just didn't think it would be this low with how often people had it on their team. 50% usage, so pretty rough there. And then the most popular, we have Kinu Giles. Kinu Giles, it's back.
Never left.
Never, ever, ever left. Absolutely. So that's definitely showing some goodness there. All right, so yeah, looking at the finals of the Crystal Cup, it was finals between Tiki and Tortilla Bean. I hope I said that right. And yeah, did you watch the finals?
No, I was sleeping, dude. I had 1 hour of sleep before this tournament, so
All right.
I didn't make top cut. I knocked out. I actually haven't watched any of these.
Okay, so with the finals here, it went 3-0 Tortilla Bean. And we're going to look at the teams and kind of understand why in a second. Oh, I took a picture with Cernif band. Rip.
Isn't it Tautu Rabien?
Tatu Rabian? Tootie Rabian? Maybe.
Tortilla Bean?
Tortilla Bean. I said bien though. I didn't say Tortilla Bean. I swear, dude.
No, you literally did. Tortilla Bean.
Dude, I didn't know how to say it.
Disrespect.
I didn't know how to say it, dude.
Let's just call him Towdy.
Bet. Towdy. Got it.
Towdy and Tiki.
Alright, so if you're looking at the teams, we have Tiki with Cernif Kinu. It's Tout Bien. It's French.
Tout Bien. Alright.
There's no way I said tortilla. I know there's no R before the T, bro. There's
no.
no.
Obviously did.
Alright, so he has Cernif Kinu with the Scunch move flank duo, and he has Sizemunch Wolfie Gyalis mix. So one thing that a lot of people are running, double mental Kinu mix. He's got that covered. Scunch move flank. A lot of people have been running that since the beginning. Gyalis has been showing really strong, And yeah, so Wolfie Giles, and then Cerneef is the addition. And then we had Bien. Let's just say Bien. Uh, he has Volorin, Naga, Whiplump, Cerneef, Wolfie, Mix, Bastion, Kenu. Looking at these, it just looks very, very balanced. Another thing that is a problem here is he has 3 mentals and he has Scunch Movelink. So
Right.
it kind of negates 2 Tems right off the back. Um, which is weird, right? Because if you all BN has to do is ban 2 other Tems besides Scunch and Movelink, and it's almost like it's a 4v5. If you have 2 mentals in on the team, they can't fight that Tem. Like they can't be in effectively against that Tem, right? So having 2 mentals on each game made it really rough for Tiki because he had to just let Movelink try to get damage done. And looking also, there was nothing to be able to deal with Cerny, so he couldn't ban Naga, he couldn't ban Inu, he couldn't ban he couldn't have a really strong first ban. So Bien had all of the really strong openers that a lot of people are seeing because Tiki did not have a team that could kill Cerny at all. He had Scunch Movelink to be able to get that quick fast damage, but you can't run that when you have 3 mentals, right? So the reason, and like everybody was seeing it, everybody was talking about it. I was in a call with a couple people while watching it, and like, yeah, Bien and just had a counter team Tiki. Really, if you just look at the
Yeah.
teams, it just says it all by itself there.
Really bad matchup for Tiki here. Kind of unfortunate, you know. Naga, Mix, and Kinu into Mooflink, Scunch, Size Munch, and Gialis there. So, I mean, just looking at the teams, it's like if you had to place your bets on who would win this, I think everybody would go with BN
Yeah,
just by looking at the teams.
and like I'm even trying to think of how he can go pick ban phase, and it seems really rough, right? Like if you let
Yeah.
Cerny through and you ban Naga, Kinu and Mix are still good openers, right? Like you can open with Naga, Mix, and Kinu completely okay. Without two Vine pressure, he only has Gialis, which means Mix doesn't die to anything unless it's Doppelganger Mix. And even then, I know Bien had Rock Shield on, so it has Rock Shield, and I know it had a lot of health, so it's gonna live the spike anyways. So I mean, how do you really
Yeah.
kill Mix here? If he starts it on turn 1, and there's really like no good answer for that. He has Wreck with Size Munch, but again, if you're looking at the teams, he has Wolfie, he has Kinu, he has Mix, he has Naga, he has Whiplump.
Mhm.
So it does really strong against Size Munch. And also, the only thing that Wreck does well against is Mix and Bastion. Wolfie also has Team Elusive, and the rest of the damage doesn't take much. So Size Munch doesn't get very good value ever here against like any of these Tems.
Yeah. Just an unfortunate matchup.
Yeah,
I don't think there's really much else to say about it. It's just
like
Tiki got countered.
it's really hard to find some sort of win condition just looking at the teams alone. Like if somebody has like some random perfect pick ban in order to deal with Bien, and also another thing to think about is even if Tiki gets the win, he starts off on blue side. So if Bien just wins yellow side with the counter pick with a better team, I'm not gonna say better team, but like it's a counter matchup, right? Like it has a better team towards Tiki, not like just a better team in general, right? So what do? If he's gonna eat yellow side, he's gonna have an advantage with the team and pick ban, which allows him to have just a huge win rate. And as long as he just wins yellow side, he can go 3-2. So it makes it yeah, I don't understand how Tiki would have had a win condition against this team. And
Yeah.
Bien's in the finals. Like he has a brain. It's not like he's just gonna throw every single game by making 5 mistakes in a game. He might make one, but even then, that capitalization isn't gonna win Tiki game. He has to rely on multiple mistakes and win 3 times. So
Yeah, very difficult. And it was a 3-0, right?
Yeah, it was a 3-0 BN.
So yeah, I mean that doesn't say like anything about Tiki as a player. It just shows that like his team got hard countered.
Yeah,
Tiki's an amazing player. It was just rough matchup for him.
definitely. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of fun to watch. And Tiki's in Ronin, so it's like funny to talk to him about it. He's like, he literally like said in chat, he's just like, guys, I'm fucked. like he said it after game one. He's like, guys, I'm fucked. I don't know how I'm gonna win against this team. It was
I
pretty
mean,
funny.
I think any of us would have had that reaction.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, that was the only tournament this weekend. So we're just gonna move right into the tier list. So we're gonna look at the old tier list for Carthh. This was last week, and Nagakinu for S tier, and then A tier was Volfi, Giles, Volerin, Tuvine, Sizemunch. B, C, D, and E all kind of got switched around a little bit. E kind of stayed the same, besides maybe 1 or 2 times they moved to D, but other than that, we're going to look at the new one here. I'm going to talk about what was moved up that is pretty influential on people's team comps, and I'm going to talk about a few that were moved down. With the switches, it balanced out a little bit because now there's no secondary pillar, or not pillar, but row, or yeah, I can't think. For E and D tier. So going into here, Kinu, Naga, I mean, it's still there. Like, what are you going to do about it, right? Kinu and Naga is there. And yeah, we have Volfi, Volerin, Giles, and Tuvine. The one that got moved down was Sizemunch. It's on the border of B and A tier. Like I was saying before, I think the players that are running him well and have a very, very good like understanding of how to play it with their team, and then some people aren't using it because it just doesn't fit their team. So it makes sense that it's not in fits into any team. It does have to have a good team around it. What are you thinking about the Sizemunch switch up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it. I think Naga is obviously broken and overpowered. I think Sizemunch is really balanced. Um, doesn't fit into every team, can get countered pretty hard, but can also deal a lot of damage as well. So it's like, it's just a situational Tem. When it works really well. When it doesn't, it doesn't. So definitely totally okay with seeing it in B. Other than that, I think maybe Tuvine's a little too high, but that's the only complaint on A.
Yeah, I
I
think
think we could definitely see Tuvine drop.
yeah, I definitely think Tuvine has to be looked at a little bit more. And I think people should be reviewing their games with Tuvine and think about how much value it's actually getting each game on their wins instead of just saying I won and Tuvine's on my team. I think it's alright. Yeah, I think Tuvine's in just this weird spot. Like its typing is really strong, but the problem is everybody else has 3 promo moves and it's faster than it, even with 2 promo moves.
Yep.
So getting kind of rough. I think honestly, if you're even gonna run Tuvine, with like Kinu's running around with Hypnosis and there's Lullaby and all that kind of stuff, you kind of need Energy Drink on it, it feels like. But then that takes away from an item that can either make it tankier or give it more damage. So it's just in a really goofy spot. I don't think it's bad. Like when you look at its move pool and everything, it's not bad. It's just it sucks when you get doubled in and die before a move happens. I think that's the biggest issue. And then you have to click Tornado and you have no special attack and you're just like, okay, I guess I get 20% damage on a Tornado because I'm gonna die from it. Like
yeah. Hopefully the tornado kills.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's just Tuvine's in a situation where the meta's catching up to it and it's just not performing as well now.
Yeah. Yeah, a couple switches. Raze moved up. It went from C tier, like middle-ish into the C tier, into can we get a buff Gary 2020? We need a buff Gary 2020.
What do you mean, dude? He's broken.
Yeah, dude. He's so niche that he's all the way down here.
We're just keeping him there so that nobody like tries him. But Gary's busted.
Yeah, Ray's got moved up. So out of there was 3 Tems that we all picked. Okay, our picks. My pick was 2Kai. Servo, that's not here, he picked Lawali. And Spectruhh, who'd you pick over there? Who'd you pick?
Bawa.
Bawa. So Bawa is still in D tier. Um, I mean, technically it kind of moved down because it was at the top of D tier, and now it's like in the middle of D tier. So
Hey, 2Kai is down there. Oh,
no,
actually,
it got moved up one, dude. It was D tier before. Let's
uh,
go. But yeah, Lawali was in C tier. Um, and it's going B. Yeah, Servo. Yeah, he also did pick Tataru, and it went from D to C, just low C. So yeah, Rays got moved up. I think Servo and I are we're doing pretty well on these up and coming temp picks, huh?
yeah.
No, Zenrith isn't in a terrible place. Like it's still like average value. Wait, where is it on this tier list?
Do have two hot takes though. Actually, I guess maybe they're not hot takes,
Wait,
but
wait, is Zenrith not on here?
Earth is in D.
Oh, I didn't even see it. It looks so weird compared to what it actually looks like. Um, yeah, so Rays got moved up to B tier. Lawali got moved up to B tier. Um, yeah, Sernif is the one that moved from B to A tier. So Sernif is now in A tier. Sizemunch got moved down to B tier. And Whiplump got moved up to B, along with Pig being moved back to C. So Pig was down in D tier because of the nerfs that it got with Fainted Curse, and losing Hypnosis. So yeah, the reason why it's got moved up is because a lot of people aren't running Turbo anymore, and now they're running Stonewall. Pig is still somewhat tanky. It can still tank some damage. It's kind of annoying killing it because of 30% damage. And clicking Stonewall and Thames is really good right now, if anybody hasn't noticed that. So, yeah, I think Pig has been seeing a lot more play, and we'll definitely probably see more of it later on this week.
Yeah, I think Drakash, Pig, and uh maybe Anna here will all get bumped up. We'll have to see.
So, Drakash and Nidrasil, I definitely want to say are notable mentions. I understand they're in C tier, but there are some teams that are running really well with toxic comps that Nidrasil is just doing extremely well with. Nidrasil is kind of like the staple that kind of creates it to be as good as it is. It has really good like really good openings. It's pretty tanky. It also gets spores off. It can also get allergic spread, or whatever it may need. Focusing into Nidrasil while there's a high notable target on the other side makes it really annoying, right? Because now it's like I don't really want to get allergic spread and have both my Tems become weak. And Toxic does pretty well against a lot of stuff that's running around right now. So not in a bad spot. I would say if I had to pick a Tem that would probably get moved up this week, it would probably be Nidrasil, honestly. I think Nidrasil is doing extremely well. Uh yeah.
You don't think Nox will get moved up? I think Nox is B tier.
Um I think Nox isn't bad where it is. It's another one of those times where you just kind of let it sit there and kill the other side. See, that's what's kind of annoying too, right? Like Tuvine hard counters it. So like when you're playing against Toxic Comp and you don't have Valorant and Tuvine, Tuvine is something that does really well. Like Tuvine got Alice does extremely well against Nox.
Mm-hmm.
So weird not running Tuvine in a team. But I think it's pretty close. I would say it's about there. I think Nidrasil is getting a lot more play right now. People are understanding the value of it. Even though it's slow, it's still really strong, and a lot of people have been putting it into their teams. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see more people using it this week. Yeah,
Narco hit is definitely slapped on. Like if you're not careful, your Scunch gets deleted against Nid.
true. Yeah, it has a mental attack, dude. Don't forget it, bro. That's another mental type on the team. No,
Yeah. And
um,
then you also have to be worried about E-Drink on Nid with the narco hit. So it's a lot of situations where Nid is just kind of hard to play around if you don't have a lot of wins.
so what is your tem that you believe will be up and coming for this What do you think is gonna see more play?
Probably Pig.
Pig. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think a lot more people are starting to run like aggressive pigs, and like defensive stonewall, like for toxic teams. People are running like Nidrasil and Saku for Bark Shield. People are running Kinu for Stonewall, and I think they're gonna be running Pig for Stonewall as well. Honestly, it also has Bamboozle. It's not slow, so like it can still have high base damage, and I mean I feel like every toxic team kind of needs some sort of wind damage, so it kind of covers all that.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Pig is just
Oshidashi,
like,
Oshidashi, baby.
and it has Oshi. It also has Sharp Rain. Like Pig has the ultimate toolbox, and it's kind of like Tateru in that aspect where it just can do so many different things. It kind of makes you guess like what is it really going to end up doing here,
Yeah,
and that makes it hard to play against. And then also you don't want to kill it either because you don't want to take 30%. So Pig just gets, I think, a lot more value than I was expecting at least.
yeah. I think even with the nerf to 30%, I think it's still strong. I think it's I think it's a little bit too low, weirdly enough. I think 40 was okay, but that's just me. I think 40 was okay. I think taking away Hypno was completely fine. I think that was 100% needed. I talked about that from like day 2 of the Hypno to Prio patch, and I was like, this has got like, dude, I don't understand why Pig has this. Like, get this off of Pig.
Yeah,
Um,
Hypno is pretty annoying on Pig,
yeah,
but yeah, I definitely think Pig goes up. What do you think's gonna pop up?
yeah, Ninja still. I think Pig and Nidra.
Pig
Definitely.
and Nid?
I didn't
I
pick
think that's
Pig because
definitely
I
fair.
thought Pig was just like kind of like self-explanatory. I think people are already doing it, and people are
Yeah.
also playing a lot more type of stally type of comps ish that are doing pretty well, and yeah, I think it's definitely really strong. Also, Stonewall does really well against Naga, so
Hmm.
that's also good. Um,
Yeah, I'm a shook down to C too. I think that's just expected. I don't think Mashuk was ever B tier.
yeah,
Every time I played him, he just felt really bad. Like he never wanted to be on the
yeah,
field.
I definitely
So,
think Mashuk is just average for sure. I
yeah.
think it wasn't as good as it was last patch, but it's completely fine. I think because turbo is being used less, I think tenderness on Mashuk, if you're going to use it, it kind of shuts down a lot of the physical teams. And it has high base speed, so you can kind of run like a little bit of speed on it to make sure tenderness is off first. So kind of some cool support features, but the problem is everything's really quick right now, so kind of rough. But so we're talking about the up and coming Thames of what we believe is going to be seen this week. And we're just going to do some quick questions and thoughts. Take a minute to just answer really quick. Just thoughts on Size Munch.
Uh, really good. It's hard, scary to play against, but also can be hard to use. I would just say high risk, high reward on Size Munch.
All right, cool, cool, cool. We kind of already recapped this, but if you want to just put it as a base material, thoughts on Tuvine?
Falling out, getting beat up. uh, wish Two Vine was better, but I think he's just countered by a lot of stuff.
Gotcha,
Still
gotcha.
really strong, but just gets beat up, punched to death.
I definitely agree with it. So, thoughts on Mooflink?
Still really good. I mean, Mooflink is super scary to play against. Still a really strong lead. Hits really hard. Forces you to split damage if it's unnoticed. So makes you do stuff that you normally wouldn't want to do. And yeah, I just think Mooflink hits like a truck, and if you let it go crazy, you get punished really hard for it later in the game.
Yeah, I definitely see that. Besides banning it, thoughts on Naga counters? What if you had to pick 3 Naga counters that should be on most teams? And if you were to like let it go, like not ban it, what 3 times would you think would be good as an overall addition to the team instead of just only to counter Naga?
Definitely Volarind. I think Wolfie can be pretty good. Um, third one's kind of hard, but maybe Loli. Definitely Grumper is another really good one.
So things that can be in a lot of teams that is strong would be Volfi, Voloran, and probably around like Lawali or maybe Cernif.
Yeah, or Grumper.
Gotcha, gotcha,
I think
gotcha.
Grumper is like, because Grumper is like, it's obvious, it's super slow, it hits hard, it's just really good when Naga's on the field. When Decidora is active, Grumper's scary.
Yeah.
And even when Naga's banned and Grumper comes in, like that means that they get Kinu Grumper, and Grumper can destroy crystals as well as destroy wind. So, like, Grumper's actually not that bad, dude.
Yeah. I get you, I get you. Alright, so thoughts on Cernif's trait playability. Um like what trait do you think is best? And how do you think its play is going right now for most teams?
I'm in the settling camp. I don't think velocity is good at all, but that's just my opinion. Um, yeah, if I was to run Cernief, which I never will, I think settling is definitely the best thing to use on it. And what was the second part of the question?
Um what how is the playability for it? Like do you think people are playing to its fullest potential, and or do you think people are kind of making mistakes when having it in play?
I mean, we talked about this earlier. I think people are definitely making mistakes with Cernief, but it's really hard to play every single tem perfect, you know? I think even if you misplay with Cernief, the fact that it's so tanky and with settling over the course of the game, it can take over at the end even if you are misplaying with it. So Cernief is really, really strong.
And then the last question, I kind of want to try to keep it a minute ish. It's kind of hard to keep it a minute because it's so in depth, I guess. Um,
Okay.
I'll try to make it slightly different. How do you deal with blue side pick and ban?
I changed up my team quite a bit. I basically just auto ban Naga because my team right now isn't good into it, and then I just play matchups for the most part. I personally don't see blue as like a huge disadvantage. Like obviously we know it is, but it's not like I lose every single blue side that I play. Um, yeah, I don't think it's as big of a problem as everybody's making it out to be, because like some people are just like, oh my god, I'm blue sided, I automatically lose, when it's like that's not the case. You can easily come back and play from blue side. It's sure it's annoying and sure you have disadvantages, but if you have a decent enough pick and ban and you make decent enough plays, you can definitely bring the game back in your favor. Not impossible.
Yeah, I get you. I get you. Yeah.
There's
Uh,
no like set way to to play blue side. Everybody's team is different.
yeah. It's definitely pretty rough. I mean, I just think having a balanced team, there are some teams that can deal with going on blue side. It's not as easy as it was before. One answer would be if Doppelganger didn't exist, because Voloran was one of those tems that could see a lot of play on turn one on blue side. That's why it was that or Kinu Gaialis. And I think, honestly, I mean, I guess we just gotta find that one raid boss tem, right? Just find that one raid boss tem, and then blue side, Kinu, whatever it is. I honestly think that might be the answer. Um, yeah, put Naga on your team so it gets banned every game, and then you go Kinu, whatever the best raid boss is. I don't want to say it's Gaialis right now, but
Servo,
I don't know.
shush. We can't let him know.
No, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just Kinu Voloran or something, but I still feel like Doppelganger can get the kill turn too. But if it can't, I mean, that might be something to think about. Because I think the biggest issue is people on yellow side, they can click Voloran, and then you can't click Voloran on blue side, because Doppelganger versus Doppelganger matchup, yellow side wins, which means just more of a disadvantage due to the speed tie switch. And I think that's one big thing about blue side right now is normally what you do is you click high value Tems that don't have very many counters, and right now that answer is Volfi and Volerand on turn 1. I feel like those are the two that do extremely well. So not being able to click both of those on turn 1, kind of annoying, because if he clicks Volerand, he just wins it. So
Yeah, like they could go like Volagalis and like rip to your Volavolt counter.
exactly, and because that's a thing, it's hard to stalemate turn 1, like keep it balanced turn 1. So all right. Those were the questions that we kind of like try to talk about. We try to ask some questions, give some insight on some questions that are going around, and some thoughts that can be talked about to help everybody understand what we think about with Tems or even things about the game. Um, yeah, that's gonna do it for the episode. We are gonna end it with upcoming events. So for everybody that is watching the tournaments, there's only one tournament this week or last week, sorry. Uh, yeah. So the first thing we can think about is anybody that has not heard yet. Temporium are doing daily tournaments. It's every day at 1 p.m. Eastern. So if you have time, especially if you're in Europe, right? European time, it's a perfect time for you. Uh, every day at 1 p.m. Eastern. I think it's like what 6, 7 p.m. ish. In Europe, so it's really good. And yeah, daily tournaments they have 8 players, best of 3, so they cap it at 8 players. First 8 players that get in every day, and then they have a best of 3. They play for I think it's 50 or 50k pansons, I believe. So yeah,
Actually,
just
a pretty good prize pool for how small that is.
yeah, if you want to just practice some tournament play, I believe there's no entry fee, and yeah, you just have fun playing in tournament, practice tournament play for best of threes against a lot of people that are doing pretty well right now. So I think that's a pretty cool thing. If you can't catch a tournament on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, you just catch one on Thursday or even Friday. And then yeah, PlusOP is starting up his weeklies again this week, August 14th. So definitely check that out. If you are not in the Discord or you're not following Plus, definitely head to his channel and check him out. I don't understand how you wouldn't understand Plus by this time, but yeah. Yeah. So one of the biggest tournaments that are running, that's been talked about for about a week, a little over a week now, is the Temporium Roadhouse Rumble tournament. It's gonna be August 15th. It's gonna be Saturday this weekend. So oh, it's 25k dailies. My bad, my bad, my bad. Um,
Okay, okay.
17k for first, 8k for second place for the Temporium daily. Nice, nice,
Still really
nice.
good.
Um, yeah. So Temporium Roadhouse Rumble. They are having the real money tournament, $1,000 cash prizes, and it's a little bit different of a format. You get to choose 10 Tems, and after you get matched up against your opponent, you get to choose 8 of those Tems, choose your items. Wait, no. All items are chosen before the tournament, and then you have to keep those on all of your Tems. You can't switch your items. And then you pick 8 of your Tems, and then you play against your opponent with those 8 Tems after seeing what 10 Tems that they have. So I think it adds for more diversity and more ways to deal with the counter matchups that we are seeing. We already saw in the finals of the Plus tournament, we saw like in the Crystal Cup, Tiki literally just could not win against Yen's team. So I think this is going to help with situations like that. Now, if he wants, he can still have Scunch Mooflink, but now he can have 2 added counters towards, like let's say adding him in Mastion if he knows that there's 3 mentals on the team. You can add in like Mastion or something else to be able to deal with stuff, which is really, really cool. I think it's a good addition. I've definitely thought about this many, many times. Um, I like it. I like it a lot. You can also provide blue and yellow side. So if you think something works better on blue side or think something works better on yellow side, um, switch in a blue side team instead of something that works better with counter picks. So something to think about. Definitely something to think about for this tournament. It's gonna be really cool to see the 10 times that people are gonna be bringing, how they're gonna utilize it, and I'm excited. How about you? What are your thoughts
Yeah,
on it?
No, it's gonna be super crazy. I need to start scrimming with people in Ronin so that we can actually play with that kind of format and see how it actually works. I think practice is going to be the biggest factor for a tournament like this, and really solidifying those last two slots because it just gives you so many more options, right? Like with the team that I'm currently running now, I think like I'm just thinking of ways that I can add in two Tems that would be really really good for it. So I'm definitely excited to try that out and definitely get some scrims in to be able to just practice everything.
Nice. And then yeah, in 2 weeks we have the Fellow Tamers Minor Cup. So it took about a month break mainly because Kiswa released. They wanted to push back their date for their tournament because they wanted people to be experienced and get more experience within the game before they have a tournament with cash prizes and a point system to be able to get into the invitational. So we'll talk more about that next week because it is not this weekend but next weekend, and we'll go more in depth in that. And yeah, those are the events. We have the dailies for Temporium. We have the weekly on Friday for PlusOP, and the Temporium Roadhouse on Saturday. So there we have it. Those are the events to look forward to. I hope the information that we gave today was insightful. And if you're a new player, learn some things about how the tier list is, what you should probably add into your team, and if you're an experienced player, how full of shit we are. No, I'm just I'm joking. Yeah, I hope you guys had a really good time. You want to end it off, Spec?
Yeah, just appreciate everybody coming in, hanging out, listening to us. Rhino's definitely not the answer, Magic. But yeah, just appreciate you guys hanging out. Thanks for having me again, Adikar. I'm excited to see you gues next week. Servo's gonna return, and yeah, just excited to get to scrimming and playing these 10v10 matches. I think it's gonna be super exciting, and that's ultimately what I'm just gonna be setting my focus on. Um, Pretty much throughout the next couple of weeks or couple of days because we only have 4 days until the tournament. So definitely have to start getting ready for that and getting prepared.
Definitely, definitely. I agree with that. I need to get in some practice as well. Yeah, CS Smug, thanks for stopping by. Magic, thank you again for being here. Zekro, awesome that you're here. Flavor, first time seeing you. I appreciate you stopping by. Awesome, awesome. Yeah, Servo, Resurrect, Blacko, love you guys. Ganta, Alex, love all you guys. You know it. But we'll see you guys soon. The upcoming episodes, always, and the upcoming streams. Spectruhh is streaming all the time. I'm streaming all the time. Make sure to give both of us a follow if you guys want to see us playing some ranked matches, playing some Temtem, and yeah. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later, guys.